Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. This book is 20 years old, incredible, and sold something like 40 million copies, which is a lot. Here is my quick abstracts and few notes and takeaways from the book. So number one, why this huge success? Kiyosaki wrote the book in the right moment, definitely. In a way, Rich Dad Poor Dad, we can say that has been a sort of poster child of the personal finance movement, this kind of education, personal education about finance, and is very simple to understand. It's not, a difficult technical manual about, financial investments or this kind of stuff. Simple to understand. There is the rich dad with the good lessons, the poor dad with all the mistakes, and often it's also counterintuitive. For example, about the house. A house is an asset or a liability. About this in a second. If we want to summarize the main point of the book, basically, Rich Dad Poor Dad explains that majority of people exchange their time for money, and that's not a good idea. And also, very important, there is an emotional factor about money that we want to ignore, but it's there, it's always there. And the more we talk about money in an emotional way, and the more, like Kiyosaki says, the emotion goes up and the intelligence goes down. Next, let's go to the main lessons, main takeaways. So number one is the difference between asset and a liability. An asset is something that puts money in our pocket with the minimum labor required, minimum effort. A liability is something that takes money out of our pocket. And here is the classic Kiyosaki difference about a house we were talking before. So a house, a lot of people think is an asset. I invest in my house. The Rich Dad Poor Dad vision is that no, a house is a liability because it's taking money out of your pocket. Unless we're talking about real estate that is generating revenues, but it's not the house where you live. So if you have a flat and you Airbnb the flat, that one is an asset because generates revenues for you every month. If you pay a mortgage in a house that you bought and you live in the house, that is a liability. A lot of people go mental when you talk about this topic, but this is the Kiyosaki point of view. So what is the final goal with assets and liabilities? Maximize your assets, minimize your liabilities. That's it. Simple, but again, not so easy maybe to do. Lesson number two, rich people don't work for money, money work for them, which is now common sense. After 20 years, so many experts in the financial sector started to, use this mantra and popularize. I don't know if in English you say popularized, but anyway, this is now common sense. The real question is how? How do they achieve this result? By buying or building assets that generate cash flow. All over the book, Kiyosaki tried to convince you that working for a paycheck is not a great idea. Working to buy or build assets that generate revenues is the way to go. What else? A quote that I like is that a job is really a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Nice quote. And another great quote, a classic one, is that it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. So where are the taxes in this one? And Kiyosaki say, workers pay taxes, but investors and business owners pay less taxes. Legally, of course. What else? Basically, that's it. Now, a couple of quotes more. Rich people buy luxuries last, poor people buy luxuries first. I like this one because you see when someone has a poor mentality, immediately go about the spending. How do I spend? Buy the fancy car, Lamborghini and everything. And it's not so intuitive to stop a second, buy an asset, and then is the asset generating revenues that give you the option and possibility to buy the fancy car if you want it. And finally, which one? This one, that a person can be highly educated and super successful and so on, but can be absolutely financially illiterate. And this is so incredible to see. You see people who earn so much money and they created a fortune and real empire, and then they lose everything because they have no financial education. Rich Dad Poor Dad. As usually, I don't get €1, $1, £1, 1 Bitcoin, 1 nothing for this review. It's not a paid review, but is a very famous bestseller, super successful book. Millions, gazillions of copies sold. So let me know if you like it.